The best part about playing live sim games for me is the designing and building part. So when I finally unlocked all the land lots in this homestead, I bought all the layouts. Basically, one of each style. And I set each layout down on an empty space, explored it, took it apart, which is a great way to learn. I kept the parts that I liked and dismantled the rest. I then had my resources and materials sorted. To me, this stream is the best feature of this land. I need this view for the home. So I set the two cottages down beside it, facing each other, forming a courtyard in between. Alright, let's start with the room. Good morning. Okay, gotta showcase the desktop first. This is Ayame's bedroom. We have the fireplace, wardrobe, and the standing shower at the back. The color scheme here is mainly blue with little pops of pink. This complements the tiny living room outside because that is mainly pink with pops of blue. Starting off with a quick glance at the entrance, I built a simple roofed parking lot. This place is just enough to house 3 to 4 vehicles. For the animals and crops half of the map, they will require one designated area for feed making. I don't buy feed from Pastel, and I find that this setup is enough for the size of my livestock. As you can see, I've kept most of my animals in storage. I find them to be a bit of a hassle, and at this late stage I'm just building and designing whenever I'm in game. Further down, we have another designated area for crops management. So in here I have the fertilizer machine, the grinder, seed banks. And to reinforce this space as the utility hub, I have my tool chest, ammo making machine here. Outside I have the teleporter and water pump. So with the crops, I have streamlined the variety here to simplify the process. So you can see the top half of the field are crops that I will sell instantly upon harvest or for my own consumption. And this bottom half is for making jam. The introduction of weed barriers is such a game changer. My rabbits no longer get stuck pathing because I can now limit their work zone to be within this enclosure. One thing I've also noticed is how messy looking the livestock area can get. And I don't think I can construct a barn to house them all without the barn looking too monolithic and out of scale against my other buildings. So I've placed trees inside the enclosure to create shade for the animals and short round trees as natural barriers to keep the visual cleaner from the outside. I mean, you can still see inside, but it's not as obvious as before. Now about the workflow. I decided to utilize the first cabin I was given at the start. It's kinda nostalgic to still have the very first cabin. I turn it into a workstation with all the crafting machinery in it. In here I have one of the most important chests, the resource chest. The items inside are arranged in such a way that I can tell at a glance which raw material am I low on and should be stocking up on. Raw materials means like ores, wood logs, because these items need time to process into ingots or planks. I usually float all resources above 50. Of course, this scales up when I have a big project in mind. So this allows me to better plan my schedule, and any extra resources goes into this other chest here. This was where I threw all the extra materials when I dismantled all the layouts that I bought. As you can see, I still have a lot of fiber and stone left even after completing Homestead and Cloud Rest Lake. Alright, let's head out. We have a lovely pond right by the workstation, an entrance, there's a swing and a bonfire. This arrangement is trying to say, despite the fences, I am hospitable, I can be welcoming. A lot of these greenery and flowers were from the original cottage layouts. I've only just repositioned and cleaned up some of the clusters. A small gardening corner over here, a space for transplanting flowers, grafting plants, and yes, a convenient exit that leads to the bus station, which I often utilize. I have also added a mini fishing deck here and made a little break in the boundary walls for easy access to the water. Now she can swim, fish, chill from this little deck. Okay, let's head to the courtyard. Alright, here we can see right beside the workstation is the workshop where all the processing takes place, like jam making, fabric making. I have a chest storage for edible products, so milk, eggs, and harvested items, ingredients go in here. I've definitely overstocked on some items. In this chest we have all the animal byproducts. I could have made the kitchen aspect a little more interesting, I guess, but I do want to convey the idea that this workstation is utilitarian in design. It's supposed to be functional and casual. I feel comfortable pasting and swapping out any pictures because there's absolute freedom in colors and sizing. There's no frame or color scheme to stick to. It's a fun way to keep this space always refreshing to be in, and that is really important because I am here every single day. I've made several changes internally and externally for the advanced cottage. First off, there's an entryway for people to take off their shoes or hang their coats. Most importantly, this entryway prevents us from seeing directly into the kitchen at a glance. To the left is the dining room. This dining room is really the focal and hosting point of this house. The view is just incredible. Regardless of time, season, or if the lights are switched on, it's just lovely. This homestead has a lot going on externally, so I try to keep my indoor furnishing simpler to reduce the visual clutter. The back of this house leads to the fruit orchard on the right, with a cute sitting area, a place for baskets of fruit harvests. I can just imagine sorting out the fruits sitting here. And to the left is the bathhouse. Above we have a little nocturnal lounge, which I should probably add more seats to. below we have the bathhouse itself. The most outstanding feature of this bathhouse is that it shares a wall with the greenhouse. This gives the illusion of space, providing natural light in the day in an otherwise what is essentially a stuffy box. I've kept the bathhouse simple to balance out the heaviness outdoors. The greenhouse is really more about aesthetics than function. After players have unlocked the grow crops in all seasons skill, the structure became more of a connective component to me in this project. It's a glorified functional corridor that leads to and fro the fruit orchard, but I do grow some useful plants in it. There's a tiny influence of Zen garden within this space. No grass, just rocks and statement trees. I did this to actually camouflage the sprinkler, which funnily enough works through the walls. Beyond the fruit orchard is one of my favorite places in this map. I've created a camping spot that leads to a natural pool. Have I mentioned that I love this stream? I literally design around this stream feature a lot, as you'll notice in my upcoming video. I've made an elevated deck that is partially supported by the cherry blossom tree and painted it blue to balance the sugar sweet pinkness all around. It will be so cool if we can actually sleep in these tents. I don't think the slides work very well, but if I jump, I can still get the last bit of sliding action. And lastly, a reading nook I can enjoy with my pet or another friend. Okay, so once we leave the densely populated orchard, we can take a visual breather through here. I've given this cottage a modern new wing and had a bit of fun experimenting with some ideas. Oh, and I keep the rest of my chests here because I still have undeveloped land in this game. I still do keep the fishes and flowers for land and aquascaping eventually. Above, we have the entertainment room. I've excluded a coffee table because I meant for people to sit on the floor, like to play console games. There are also pictures of residents who have stayed here in the past. In the master bedroom, the desktop, as usual, we have the bathroom area. I don't really use this building much actually because I've gotten so used to my routine at the other cottage. And strangely, all the NPCs I've invited here usually appear in the kitchen below and not really anywhere else. I've furnished this bedroom to be gender neutral because there's always a rotating guest list. There's a lot that I've learned from this first homestead. Every question I had about this game at the start were answered by the time I was done with this build. How the game works, how building works, or always save the project immediately after completing a small portion of design. As much as I adore the cottage core style, I'm also one who instinctively balances chaos with order, so I've introduced pockets of minimalist spaces that declutter the visual noise. This homestead is a happy combination of many styles: oriental, cottage, industrial, modern, a little bit of zen, an eclectic blend of this and that gives this light-hearted bubblegum piece a rustic charm. This project became more than an experimental file. I find myself building my character's own storyline as the game continues to update and expand. For me personally, I've had a fair bit of building issues. Dense builds with high item collisions will cause my frame rate to drop, and I've noticed that as clusters of items that clip into each other increases, as my item count in-game slowly exceeds 3,500, my game starts to crash from time to time during loading, saving, or just mid-game. And as you can see, I'm currently sitting on 4K+. So tackling bigger projects like Windflute Island is still on the back burner for me, even though I've completed some framework for it. Starsand Island is still considered in its early access as of April 2026, with so much more to offer down the road. I don't think I want to develop all the buildable spaces and rush this process. I'm just enjoying smaller builds and the freedom of design the tools can give, and the general game experience. I hope you've enjoyed this homestead as much as I had experimenting with it. Do check out my upcoming homestead build with another character named Soda, as well as Ayame's Cloud Rest Lake. See you again!